how to change your oil. This is a 2013 Ford F150. First thing I like to do once it's cooled off, pull the cap off the oil reservoir, set it there right now, pull the dipstick out a little bit. You'll need oil. Look up in your manual or look online to see what type of oil you use. I am for a 2013 Ford F150. It is full synthetic 5W20. There's my oil filter, and I take 6 quarts, 5 years, the one's in the back. You need a good funnel so you don't spill. I keep my funnel to the hood because it's always there when I need it. I keep some napkins sitting in it to keep it clean, and check dipsticks. You need an oil pan to drain your oil into. Here's the fun thing. What I do is you can either take this back to any gas station, repair shop, whatever, and dump your oil. I'm not going to give it my entire oil res. So when I'm finished, I use the same funnel, I pour it back into the original bottles, which are much easier to drop off. And to get under your car, you'll need, it helps to have a creeper. It allows you to slide down there. Wrenches or a good ratchet set. Flash it so you can see what you're doing. Let's go down. Okay. I'm not jacking the truck up today since I got a nice little 3-inch lift, and it is a pickup truck, so don't really need to put up on the jack for this. Let's go. Flashlight. While you're down here, you can check everything else out. See if you're leaking anything else. Make sure you don't have any damage. So it's a good idea to keep an eye on what's going on in your truck. Look for any potential leaks, etc., etc. So next thing you're looking for when you're down here, and I just got home, so it's gonna be a little hot, so be careful what I touch. You're looking for your oil pan. Flip it around again. This guy right here. I can't get to it. This is my oil pan. Look for this nut here. Sometimes it's up to the side, sometimes it's on the bottom, sometimes it's angled. There's a camera if you can see that right there. That's the drain nut. You open that nut, that's the drain for the oil pan. So you want to make sure your oil res is underneath it somewhere. Now when it comes out, it's going to be a bit of pressure. So it's not going to come out and dribble out. It's going to come shoot across. You want to make sure this is far enough. You want to line it up so that when it's done dripping, at that point, when it's done flowing out, there'll be some drip. It'll go straight down. So you want the back ledge close. And you want the other edge as far out as you can for how far it's going to shoot out. All right, we're going to get a ratchet here. Now, the next thing you're going to need, once you figure out the right size socket, and I'm not going to tell you what size because every vehicle is different, and I went out a few oil changes ago and bought this magnetic bolt for my oil. So if there's any issues in my engine, I'll see what any metal shavings or fragments might be in there on the end of it, and I'll know that there's a problem. Now, I'm using a small extension to get past the fuel line, but not far enough that I'm going to hit the sway bar. If you don't have an extension or going straight out doesn't work for you, you can get what's called a universal, this right here. This lets you, so you don't have to be straight on with it, you can be at an angle, and this will move with it. All right, now next up, I'm on here, oil pan set, now I just got to open it. Now another little tip, what I like to do is, when the bolt's almost out, it's hand tight, so I can do this. I like to get my hand on there because I don't want it to drop and fall in the pan, and the whole thing's going to be covered oil. It's going to be a pain in the butt to pull it out, get used to it. You should be wearing gloves, by the way, because there's no way you're doing this without getting a little bit of oil on you. It's just not possible. Alright, now drip in and we're done. There we go. So there's my tip, see? Nothing on it, so nice to know. There's no metal shavings, no issues like that. Here, just put this on the end. This thing drain out the oil, you see it coming out. See, right now it's coming down. You see this where I'm at, and flowing out. But it's all getting caught. Last thing I want is oil over my driveway. Alright, so that's going to take a few minutes to finish emptying out. When that is done, we're going to go up top. We're going to pull the oil filter, replace that. And then we pour a little bit of fresh oil. Let me see how milky brown that is. Pour a little bit of fresh oil to run through here to help push out the last remnants of the old oil. Now, when that's all done draining, the next thing you have to do is find your oil filter. Usually somewhere in the front of the engine. Find it, and if you have to get to it. Mine, it's the easiest for me to go underneath. You can't even see it here. So there is mine. So much fun. If you don't have strong hands and you can't take it up by hand, there are multiple tools to use to pull that off. Filter caps, filter wrenches. I'll show you what I have. Alright, so the old oil is pretty much done, so I poured some fresh oil down. You can see that, how much clearer that is. That's the new oil, so now it's safe to put the cap back on. A couple side notes as far as the creeper. This one's from Harborfreight, Pittsburgh. Not usually greatest quality stuff, but this one's actually, these wheels are chewed up pretty bad on this brick, but whatever. It's got a nice cushion, it's contours, nice to lay on. It's got two little trays, so it's easy to put materials in, and a handle for carrying. Eventually I'm going to have to replace these wheels. You can see this casters are kind of shot, getting roughed up. Unfortunately, it's all riveted together instead of nuts and bolts. But when I replace it, I'll drill those out, put new, use nuts and bolts instead. So, now for the filter. Very hard to reach from the front, so we're going to go underneath, get it, because you can't get it on top. And this is the tool. If you can't turn it by hand, this is called a filter wrench. Sometimes it just looks like a cap. Those are very specific size filters. This one is, as you can see, adjusts, it's multi-size. It's not going to help you put it on, but it will help you take it off. Because putting it on, you just need to be a little more than hand tight. You don't want to over tighten it, but you don't want to under torque it either, you know what I mean? Alright, so once again, oil pan, make sure it's positioned properly. So I am leaning forward, so that all my oil is going to come here instead of going to the back. And this comes with a nice, easy little drip tray for the filter itself to control where it goes. You can see that neck here. I can't point there. There we go. So it should flow out that way. Should. Not exactly the greatest design in the world anyway. So filter way up there. That white thing. Easy for you to see, hard for me to get to. Alright, well, that is doing its final draining. Next step is take your new oil filter right here, and you want to put a little bit of new oil just on that threads and this gasket. Just a little bit of gasket lube, so it makes a good tight seal. Putting on the new oil filter isn't always super easy, especially if you're reaching in underside. You gotta get it just the right angle to get it to thread properly. And then get it as tight as you can by hand. If you've got weak hands, well then you might want to get a wrench or something in there to help. Pair of channel lock something, just don't crush it or break it. Just make sure it's on there nice and tight. Now, next up, funnel. Right there. Dipstick out slightly or all the way. Because in order to pour something in, you have to displace the air. And the quicker you can displace the air, the quicker you can pour the oil. Now, make sure you don't overflow your funnel, because you're putting a lot of oil down a very small neck. And as I just said, you have to displace air to put the fluid in. And if there's nowhere else the air is coming out, well then the air is going to come out the same way you're pouring down the fluid. It's like if you take a bottle of soda, big like 2-liter bottle of soda, and you pour it upside down trying to dump it into a cup, and you see giant air bubbles blowing up inside the bottle, and the fluid is not coming out a nice stream. It's because air and fluid are trying to displace one another. That's all over the place. Alright, once your oil's in, last few steps is checking your oil level, make sure you got enough oil and everything there with your dipstick. This is your dipstick. If you look, there are some marks on here. I'm going to show you this. see these little holes. Usually there's words. Can't do that. Let me go this side. How to do this at night. Okay, there we go. So this X pattern. So if you are below the X's, you are too low. If you're above the X's, you're too high. Generally, you want your oil level at a cold engine to be anywhere in the X's, okay? Okay, now, so first thing you do is clean off your dipstick. You don't want old oil on there, giving you a bad reading. Then put the dipstick back in the hole all the way down, make sure it's good solid and sealed, then pull it back out, and you should see fluid right there. That tells me I have enough oil. So we're good. Next step is dumping the old oil back in the container so I can return it, and then just cleaning up everything. Put your caps back on, put your dipstick back in, yada yada. Tomorrow we'll drop off the old oil. Checking your oil you should do on a regular basis. You only check your oil when the engine is cold, because when it's hot it's bubbling up and you're not going to get accurate. So when it's cold is when you pull that dipstick, clean it, put it back in, pull it out again, and look to make sure you have enough oil. If your oil is low, definitely put oil in, because the last thing you want to do is run with not enough oil. It will keep your engine, everything running, things nice and lubed, keep things from being broken. Helps to keep the warranty on your car and keeps you running without issues. The next thing is, once you've topped off your oil, is why do you have less oil? Are you burning oil? Are you losing oil? Keep an eye wherever you park your vehicle at night. When you pull out in the morning, look underneath, see if there's a puddle down there. All right, that's it. Good luck, everybody. Bonus point. So I like this brand, usually Castrol Edge. Using high mileage, and that's about 125 thou. That's my oil. One of the nice things with their container is that it has a little gauge. So when I'm pouring it back in, I can see how much oil there is in there, so I don't know if I'm about to overfill or not. That's it.